everybody, this is Jacqueline Gonzalez, and I am going to start my tour. I am starting our tour at the University of Laverne Oxnard campus. I wanted to give us a recognizable starting point. I will be taking you on a tour of Mayan ruins that I have visited and one that I want to go to very soon. I chose to do a tour of Yucatan, Mexico because that's where my family is from, and Yucatan has a very near and dear place to my heart, and it always will. Our very first stop is going to be Telchac Pueblo, Yucatan, Mexico. This is a small town in Yucatan, Mexico, and this is where my parents are from. Both my parents were born and raised here. I came here on family vacations during the summer since I was a little girl. My parents own a home here, my grandparents own homes here, and a lot of my uncles, cousins, and aunts still live here as well. This is where we start my Mayan journey, because I would spend a lot of time here when I would go to Mexico. This is where we would spend a majority of our time visiting family, and where most of my memories are from. Our second stop, is Xcambo, Yucatan, Mexico. In Mayan, the X is pronounced as an SH. Xcambo is a very small archaeological site about 20 minutes from Telchac Pueblo, where my parents are from. I first visited this site when I was a little girl. When I first came here, it was very, very worn down and not touristy at all. For many years, this ruined site was not deemed as an important historical site for Mayan history. What actually happened to this site that degraded it a lot is that many locals over the years would take stones from the ruins and from the areas here, the steps and everything, to help build their homes and to build fences around their land. And within the last 20 years or so, Yucatan has invested a lot of money into its refurbishment. It has become a source of work and revenue for a lot of local peoples. And here in this picture, you can see that they have a Catholic chapel that was built much later after conquest. Our next stop is Chichen Itza, Yucatan, Mexico. Chichen Itza is one of the 7 wonders of the world. This archaeological site is the second most famous and visited site in Mexico, the first one being Tenochtitlan, the ruins built by the ancient Aztecs. Chichen Itza has many different monuments within it, such as the large ruin pictured here, which is the Castillo. That translates to the castle. There is an observatory where they did astronomy. The Mayans are known for their astronomy work. There is a ball court where they played a traditional game that's a combination of what we would recognize now as soccer and basketball, and it is played with the hip bone. There are cenotes or sinkholes. An interesting piece of information about this place is that when I visited, I was actually able to climb up the steps into the Castillo and into that little room that's pictured here. Yucatan is very, very tropical in its weather pattern. It's very hot and humid, but when you climb into the very top room, it's actually very, very cold in there. There is a small jaguar inside of it made of stone and has many decorative jade stone pieces. It's very, very beautiful, and the view from there is amazing. Our next stop is Uxmal, Yucatan, Mexico. It is a very large archaeological site. Uxmal has a style similar to ruins found in southern Mayan locations, such as Guatemala and Belize. Uxmal is made up of many ruins. The main one is known as the Adivino. It translates to the Pyramid of the Magician. No one is able to climb that very large ruin, not because it's one of the wonders of the world like Chichen Itza, but because it's very, very tall and has much more narrow steps than Chichen Itza's Castillo. There is a ball court just like in Chichen Itza, and there is a governor's palace, which is a very long and narrow building. I went to Uxmal when I was about 20 years old, and I was able to climb one of the smaller ruins. And a fun fact about this place is that I actually got heat stroke during the climbing process, and I got very, very sick after. But the view was very beautiful, and I'm very glad I kept going besides getting sick, because I'll always have that beautiful memory. And I actually took this picture here If you look at this very, very bottom corner right here that I'm pointing at, that's my family right there, my mom and my dad and my younger brother. And out in the distance over here is the Adivino, which is the large ruin, and down here is the governor's palace. And the very last stop on our tour is Xcaret, Quintana Roo. Xcaret is the one site on this list that I have not visited, but I intend to visit within the next year or two when I go and visit my family next time. It is the only place on this tour that is not in Yucatan, but in the neighboring state of Quintana Roo, which is the same state that you would be in if you went to Cancun or Playa del Carmen. It is known as a very touristy place. It has a zoo and an adventure park and a theme park, and it has become very Americanized in the last decade or so. But I am much more interested in visiting its ruins. Xcaret was a very important port. It served as a trade stop and a source of revenue for the Mayans. There is evidence that a lot of political activity took place at this site. And that is it for my tour. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and it makes me very, very nostalgic, and it makes me miss home very, very much. But hopefully I'll be soon within the next year or so. Thank you guys so much. Bye.